Hey, sports fans, this is Larry Eater here. This is Brooks on Running, a collaboration between Brooks Running and RunBlogRun. Today we have Anna Gibson. She is a Brooks professional athlete. She's done track, she's done trail, she's done road. She's a multi-sport athlete, and she just won the bronze medal at the World Mountaineering Championships for the uphill race. Is that correct? Did I do it right?
Uh, World Mountain and Trail Running. So
Mountain and
yes.
trail running. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I did mountain and trail running, where she won the bronze medal. And tell us about that race. I'm fascinated with uphill racing.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Larry. That race was incredible. It was like honestly the coolest race of my life. I think obviously the performance plays into that, like when you have a really exciting day and feel like you gave it everything that you had and it kind of landed you in a place that you didn't know you could go. That's
Mhm.
definitely part of it. But I think also just the energy of being at the World Championships for the first time, representing Team USA there, and just being like way up high in the Pyrenees in Spain. It was just gorgeous and it was so fun.
Cool, cool. Now, what was the distance?
It was just short of 4 miles, but it
Okay.
was all uphill, so it was like 3,200 feet of climbing.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Yeah, so it was kind of an interesting course, like a very common distance that we do in trail running is like the vertical kilometer. So normally it's 5K of distance and a vertical kilometer of climbing, which is about 3,200 feet. So this one was actually like a mile longer than normal, and it made it like
Wow.
a much more runnable grade, which I actually think was really good for me. And it kind of like played to the strengths of different athletes than maybe we would have expected, like looking at the people who were entered in the race on paper.
So Anna, let me try to visualize this. So probably a kilometer straight up and then a little bit of break and then another kilometer straight up, or how did it go?
So it actually started on a road, which was interesting because we
Mhm.
were like kind of started down in this small town. And it was on the road like pretty shallow grade for a while, maybe like, I don't know, 5 or 8% uphill. And then we hit a trail that was all single track and that was like it was just very runnable. It was like maybe, I don't know, 12 to 15%. And then the very last part was just like straight up,
Wow.
kind of like holding footing because it was just like up high in the Alpine and this grassy slope, but you just kind of had to like find your way through this like very bumpy terrain. And that part was all hiking. So it was like very runnable for maybe 40 minutes. And
Yeah.
then like the last like 7 to 10 minutes for everyone was like just total like power hiking,
Wow.
and absolute grind.
Now, are there fans on the course? Are people close to you on the course cheering you on?
Yeah, there were a lot of fans, and what was really cool was like the bottom half was all treed, and so people were kind of like down in the woods, and you could hear like voices just sort of like echoing throughout the woods. But then once you got up high, like the second half of the course was all just super open. It had these like really big panoramic views of the Pyrenees, and there were people just like littered all over the grass, just kind of like tucked in all these little areas. So you'd come around like a switchback because the course was just like super tight switchbacks all the way up. You come around a turn, and then you'd like just like see people and my whole family was there and I like could hear them cheering from like a mile below them. Like I
Cool.
because the voices were just carrying like super far because there's nothing in between you and them.
Um, how do you train for races like that?
Well, I think a lot of people take very different approaches to
Mhm.
training for vertical races.
Okay.
I mean, there are people out there who are like ultra marathon specialists, like they run 50Ks, but they're just like really strong. They have a massive aerobic base. They obviously do a lot of like vert running, like doing hills and stuff like that while they're on their way to getting the volume that they need to run
Yeah.
like longer distances. So there's like that whole class of people. And then there's like sort of more the style of how I train, which is like with a lot of speed and intensity. Like I come from a track background. I raced the 1500 in college and like the first year of being pro with Brooks and might go back to it eventually, but I do like a lot of speed training. So like not so much on the track this year, but more like on the roads, I'll do like kind of faster intervals, like yeah, shorter workouts with like higher intensity. And for
Cool.
me, like I feel like training my body how to tolerate lactic acid has made me really good at running uphill. So like when I'm in really good 1500 shape, I'm actually like also in pretty good uphill shape, which I think is sort of contradictory, like not necessarily what a lot of people would think.
Yeah.
but I've kind of just like experimented with it and found that that makes me really strong. As long as I like also do some uphill work. So I do spend like a fair amount of time also doing like uphill treadmill in the winter where I just put the treadmill at 15%
Wow.
when there are no trails available, like because I live in a snowy place. So I'll
Sure.
just go to the treadmill and I'll just like run uphill only for
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
30 or 45 minutes. And then do that same thing in the summer. Like I live at the base of a ski area, so I'll go like run up one of the lifts and then take the lift down and just like skip all the downhill, but do the uphill specific work.
Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of athletes that have used, instead of doing speed work, have used hill work to develop their speed. You're doing it just the opposite, and I find that fascinating. Um, the when you're so where you're outside of Jackson Hole in Wyoming, um, do you run a lot outside with the heavy snow?
I do, yes. I definitely have to balance it because I think like I notice little like the start of like little injuries start to crop up. Like I'm really not on dry roads the entire winter. Like the roads never melt out. So it's
Yeah.
all ice or snow.
Hmm.
Or I'm running on like snow-packed trails here and there. There's like a little bit of like winter grooming, so I'll like go run on like Nordic groomed trails.
Sure.
But it's all either slippery or really soft, and I feel like it works my body like very differently than
Oh, yeah.
just running the same amount of miles in the summers. So it's definitely a balance. So I do like some outside, some on the indoor treadmill, if I absolutely have to, but I try not to do that more than like 2 times a week or so. And then I spend a lot of the winter just skiing and trying to find like the volume elsewhere that makes a little bit more sense in the winter for me.
Do you use the poles when you compete sometimes?
I actually do not with running.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, it's just sort of a personal preference thing. Like I just haven't really like felt the need to, but there are a lot of athletes that do in the vertical races. Yeah.
So at the University of Washington under Marissa Paul, and I saw you've run a 408 1500, 432 mile, and 908 for the 3000. You have some serious wheels. That's pretty cool. Um, what convinced you to go into mountain racing?
I love this question. I think this just kind of goes back to just the way that I grew up. Like, my high school team, my cross country team and track team, in Jackson, Wyoming was like just very fluid with track and trail and like all these different styles of running. And
Mhm.
we were like fortunate to have the track and the school like right at the base of this pretty epic trail system. And so we would like go warm up on the trails and then do a track workout and then go for our little cool down run. And then like some days we would drive up into Grand Teton National Park and we would like go for some pretty cool trail runs that are just like iconic um, kind of outings that people go for here. And it was just like, another day after school out for a cool trail run in a really beautiful place. And so trail running was like always one and the same with track for me. Like I started doing mountain racing when I was in high school,
Wow.
just at some local events here. Like we have two really cool local hill climbs up the two ski areas out of Jackson. And then it kind of like as I went to college, I like kind of kept that going and broadened the reach a little bit. I went up and I raced in Montana, and I raced in Utah, and then I like towards the end of college, I decided to do grad school at UW and continue to run track. But I also like at that point was really into mountain running, and I was like flying to France to like go do my first World Cup race
Wow.
in the mountains. So it's always kind of been one and the same, and I feel like a lot of people like didn't really see that side of my career growing alongside of track, but like I knew all along that like I was really interested in both of these things and I really wanted to pursue both of them.
That's cool. How did you get involved in the sport of running?
Um, so I grew up ski racing. I was a downhill ski racer and I was really into this when I was young. Like I was so dead set on like becoming an Olympic alpine skier. That was like my life dream if you had asked me when I was like 8 years old. But then kind of as I got older, like I realized, oh, like both of my parents are really into endurance sports, and I had been like Nordic skiing and like I don't know, riding bikes and that type of thing, and always had kind of loved that world. And like as I got older, I realized, okay, I'm definitely not like a power athlete. Like I don't love adrenaline. I'm not big, I'm not strong. Like I am way more built for like endurance sports. And so my mom had kind of nudged me like when I went into middle school. She was like pushing me to try out running.
Hmm.
So I went to cross country practice and I was like, hey, like I'll go for a week and see if I like it. And first day, I like met this girl, Emmy, who's like still one of my best friends to this day and like probably someone that will be in my life forever. Like I just really hit it off with her. And I think that like finding that immediate community and friendship was like really what kept me coming back. Before I even found out that I love to run. Like I just found my people there. I
Cool.
met Emmy, a number of other friends, and just had like a really good team environment. And then obviously that morphed into like loving it. Like within a couple of months, I just knew that it was like, yeah, something that I wanted to keep doing.
Who were your coaches in high school?
Um, I had kind of two coaches. The head coach of the program was Jeff Brazil. He's actually still the head coach at my high school, and
Oh, neat.
we've kept in touch really well over the years. Like it's a small town, so we all, continue to run into each other and see each other, and we've made an effort to like, yeah, just stay in touch. And I show up to the high school training sometimes and talk to the kids, which is really fun. And then another person who was like really key and who kind of like coached me through the end of high school more specifically was Matt Torney. And he's like still one of my closest friends. Like he's kind of like more from being coach into being like training partner now. He still is like a high level athlete himself, like training for New York Marathon, training to do Pacific Trails later this year. So he's like really fit, helps me train, like has known me since the very beginning of my running journey. So yeah, I have a lot to owe both of them for like helping me kind of find my way through the sport and like continuing to be involved in my career like all these years later.
Cool. What were the biggest changes for you going from a small town in Wyoming in a high school track and cross country program to a high-powered program like the University of Washington?
Well, there's a little bit more to this story actually, so I
Yeah.
should back up. So I
Sure.
actually came out of high school
Yeah.
and I went to Brown for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
so I would say that the transition for me was like really massive.
Mm.
I was like kind of a big fish in a small pond in high school. Like Wyoming is not known for producing incredible runners. Like I was, one of a handful of kids that like was going to all these national meets and like trying to like yeah, like compete with kids from California and Florida where there's like way more opportunities and way more big races happening close to them and stuff. So it definitely took like, yeah, just a lot of like extra traveling and yeah, I mean, buy-in from my parents and coaches and all this stuff to like make this happen for me. So then I go to this school on the East Coast, so far from home, in a completely different environment, like away from the mountains. And I actually got hurt 2 weeks into my freshman year. So
Oh,
I ended up having an injury that like I tore a tendon in my foot and it just like didn't heal quickly or well. And I basically didn't run for 2 years. Like I was trying and I
oh,
kept trying to come back and then re-injuring it. And it was just this like horrible snowball. So I was in like a really bad place by like the middle of my sophomore year of college. So I actually came home to Jackson and I took some time off from school. I was
mm,
like, I don't know what I need, but I just need to like do something different and I need
sure.
to like be with my family. So did that. And then by the end of like being home for 3 months, I had figured out like that maybe going back to Brown wasn't the best thing for me. Like I'd had a great experience there. I had great friends. I had like coaches who were supporting me and stuff, but just like really needed a fresh start. And I
Yeah.
really missed the mountains and I missed being in the West. And at that point, I ended up transferring to University of Washington. So that's kind of where like my running career feels like it restarted. Like I sort of took
Yeah.
2 years off after high school and then went
Yeah.
to University of Washington and it really began there.
What was when you got going the second time in college? What what did you learn that worked for you at the University of Washington?
Um, I mean, I thought it was really cool to be part of a team that like the expectation was that we were going to qualify for nationals and
Hmm.
like compete well there. Which just like the entire season was built around like getting us to be able to perform at the highest level.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of a big change from like where I was at Brown, where like maybe one athlete would qualify, but like there was a very small chance that the whole team was going to go. And then at University of Washington, it was so deep, like even to be on the team for cross country, like to be in the top seven was like took a lot of effort and it took a lot of dedication. And there were all these people like to, different teammates challenging me every single day. And I think like that was a really big transition, but also something that like helped me be my best. That like the expectation was just like a bit higher and not in like a negative way where it was too intense or anything like that, but like just in a way that we were like provided with all of the resources that we needed in order to like reach that level.
Mhm. Um, when you finished high school, how fast did you run the mile or 1600 and 2 mile or 3200?
Oh gosh. I think I had run, what did I do? I did 4:48 in the mile in Wyoming. That
Oh,
was, I think that
nice.
that was our state record at the time.
Okay.
It might still be, I can't remember. That's kind of embarrassing. But
I'll check it out.
and I think I had run like 4:42 or 4:43 for the 1600 at Brooks PR, I believe, was
Okay.
my
Cool.
fastest. Yeah, and I ran the 2 mile a little bit, but not a ton. Like I was really focused.
Uh-huh.
I also did like, 800s and like ran the 4x8. But I felt like I like the 1600 mile was kind of always like my favorite event.
Cool. Cool. In at the University of Washington, what did you run? 1500?
Yeah, I ran mainly the 1500. I also did the 800 a fair amount.
Hmm.
I only ran the 3K one time, so that
At
time might be my
908. Wow. That's
yeah, that was
impressive.
from
Yeah.
my first 3K indoors.
Wow.
Boston University, and it was like right after cross country season. So it was kind of a weird time. And then yeah, like I ran one 5K on the track like as a pro, kind of as like a rust buster, but I never ran the 5K in college.
What was cross country for you like in college?
Cross country was kind of tough for me, to be honest, which
Mhm.
seems sort of weird because now like seeing that I can be like a high level 1500 runner and I can also be like, competitive in mountain running, you would
Yeah.
think that cross country would work, but it just I never hit my stride with it in college. Like I think that the best that I did was maybe like I don't know, 60 something at NCAA cross. Like I
Mhm.
just never thrived. It was tough.
The looking back now between high school and the University of Washington, um, what do you see are the biggest challenges for a high school athlete coming from, again, from a small town, going to the big city in a high-powered program? Or did you feel that pressure at Washington?
I definitely did a little bit, but it wasn't until like the end of my college career. Like, and by
Mhm.
this point, I was like, I also did like a fifth year and a sixth year because like my college career had the 2 years that I went to Brown, and then I had COVID.
Yeah.
When, like the whole COVID
Oh,
lockdown and
yeah.
all of that happened like as soon as I got healthy and was back to racing. So the first 4 years of my college career was like very crazy and hectic and like yeah, it was very truncated in many ways. So then I did yeah, fifth year and a sixth year. So by this point I was already like very used to living away from home, like very much into school and like had a lot of other things going on. So I was not like 18 years old. I was like 21, 22.
Mhm.
But I think yeah, I think by that point, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think by that point I was able to like handle the pressure and intensity that like a program like the University of Washington carries with it.
Mhm.
Um, but I do think that that would have been a challenge for me coming straight out of high school. Like if I had gone from my senior year of high school straight to Washington and been like trying to make the top seven to compete in cross country my first fall, I think that that would have been like a pretty intense environment. Yeah.
And then how did you go from the University of Washington to Brooks?
It happened all like really fast and really naturally. Like I kind of like ran the last race of my college career. I was out in Austin for the NCAA championships and went out for a coffee the morning after. I'd had a bad race. Like I didn't make the final and I definitely should have made the final. Like on paper, I was very much like yeah, in the top 12, like should have ended up there, and I did
Yeah,
not. So it's really disappointing. Like my coaches were really disappointed in me. I was disappointed in myself. It was just not a great feeling. So that morning I went out for coffee. And while I was there, I bumped into Garrett Heath, who's the sports marketing manager at Brooks.
yeah,
Um, and he like wanted to have a conversation with me, and I was like, really? Like me? Like I didn't make the final, like I didn't finish on a good note. But I think even like knowing that he wanted to chat, even though I'd had a disappointing race, was like, oh, like Brooks believes in me, even when I don't have my best day. Like they understand, they get it. Like they're looking at the bigger picture of
yeah,
like who I have been my entire high school and college career and like the potential that I have moving forward. And our original conversation was actually about fully just doing track for them. But I was like, well, I like would love to keep doing track, but also I want to run in the mountains. Like, is there any chance I could do both? And he kind of like walked away from that conversation. Like Garrett is he was a fantastic person for me to like make this intro with there
oh yeah,
because
good
he
guy.
has
Yeah,
he has done all these things himself. Like he
yeah.
also has run trails. He's obviously been a really high level track athlete. So he like just got me from the first moment. And yeah, it all just happened really fast from there. Like it was just a very natural fit for me.
Now, did you run with the Brooks Beast for a while?
I have never been on the Beast, but I have done training camps with them.
Okay,
Um, yeah, like when I've been training for track, I've gone out and I've like, stayed in Seattle for 2 or 3 weeks and yeah, done stints of training with their team.
who coaches you now?
I'm coached by David Roach,
Okay,
yeah, he's based out of Boulder and has like a lot of the most competitive American and like international trail athletes.
hmm. What's your mileage like on a weekly basis?
Fairly low. I mean, I run anywhere. It ranges like pretty massively. Like I'm not like obsessed with hitting a number every week.
Sure.
But it ranges probably from like 30 in the winter, up to like maybe 50. Like the highest mileage week I've ever run in my entire career is 60 miles. I did that one time and have never done it since. Like normally it's like 45 when I'm training like specifically for trail.
So besides the running, you're doing bicycle training, cycling training as well?
Yeah, I do ride on my bike a lot. I do like a bit of gravel and road riding. And I actually started racing my bike a little bit this year. I raced 3 times, which was really fun.
Cool.
Um, so I get a lot of like extra volume from the time that I spend doing that.
Now, have you done cyclocross?
I have not done cyclocross. I'm sort of curious about it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also just like takes such extreme bike handling skills
Oh
that it
my
kind of
God.
like it seems like a very intense thing to like to throw yourself into.
I used to race over at UC Santa Cruz, and they had this thing called the Banana Slug Classic. It was a 12K up trails and down, and I loved it. It was one of my prime races every summer to get ready for fall cross country. But it's they also had a permanent cyclocross there, and of course there. And I watched that a couple times, and I just said, I'm a wimp compared to what these folks do. It just it blew my mind. It looked pretty exciting too. Um, so you specialize, the mountain racing is where you are, should I call it mountain trail racing, or how do you like to refer to it?
I mean, I just call it trail, but I guess
Cool.
like there are some people who are more specific about it. Like, I guess technically mountain running is
Yeah.
like the shorter distances. Like at Worlds, they consider the mountain events to be the uphill race that I did and the classic race that I did.
Mhm.
And then the trail events are like the short trail and long trail, which are like 40K and 80K distances. But I think in the grand scheme of things, like I just call it all trail because I
Cool.
feel like that just makes sense to me.
So what are the distances you race typically in trail? You do the uphill that are, 5K to, and then you just have the championships, which are at 4 miles. What were you racing most of the summer?
Most of the summer I was competing on the Golden Trail World Series, which
Okay.
those races are all kind of different distances, but they're generally like uh 20 3K to like 30K of
Oh,
distance.
wow.
Like a pretty big range of vert. Like sometimes it's 4,000 feet and sometimes it's like 9,000 feet.
Wow.
It's like, and yeah, they're all different formats. Like sometimes we do multiple loops. So you're going up, down, up, down, up, down, like on different trails. And then other times it's like run up one big mountain and then run down that big mountain, like down a different trail. So they're all like varying formats, which I think it makes it really fun because it really exposes different strengths. Like when you line up at a track race, like it's the same thing and everyone feels differently, like has different PRs, but like you could sort of predict how it might shake out
Yeah.
for each person. And trail, it's like every time you're on a start line, every single variable is different. The weather's different, the trail is different, the dirt and rocks is different, like the format of the event is different. And so like unless you're comparing to like that event last year, like it's just there's no two things that are even like remotely the same. And I think it's so fun. Like there's, people who you've never heard of winning things because that course and that day just really fit them. And I think that's just like so fun and exciting.
How many times do you race a year?
Ooh, I let's see. I probably race like 10 times.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and some of those are like double event weekends where I'll do like an uphill race and a longer race, like back to back or a day apart. Um,
So like a 5K uphill race or 4 mile uphill race, and then come back a couple days later and do a 23 to 30K.
exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I thought the 10K, 5K double was tough. That's pretty pretty challenging. Um, you were talking, but right before we did the interview, you mentioned that you really uh, you do a lot of multi-sport training. So you do um, bike training, you do running, do you cross country ski, and do you downhill ski?
I do, yes. I actually so I raced Nordic all through high school. Um, and then like when I got to the end, I decided to run ultimately in college, as we've
Mhm.
already been talking about, but I was at that point like also very invested in skiing and I
Oh, wow.
considered doing both in college at one point. I considered just ski racing in college and then ultimately decided to follow running. And skiing kind of like took a back seat, but it's still something that I do for training a lot. Like if there's a day when it's just like absolutely dumping snow here in the winter, like I'll just scrap the run and just go for a Nordic ski instead because they're for me like pretty comparable. Like it doesn't really matter if it's January and I'm like missing a run to go do a Nordic ski. Like I'm actually not missing anything. Like it's all good. But then also like yeah, I like grew up downhill ski racing and then was like realized that I didn't want to race that, but I still do it. Like in the winters I ski almost every day
Oh,
at the resort.
nice.
I love that. I love to backcountry ski. And kind of a new evolution of this for me has been that I've decided to race some skimo this winter. So I've got that coming up. It's kind of like a combination between Nordic and Alpine. It's like speed ski touring.
Wow. Oh, that sounds cool. Now, what's the distance on that?
Um, so I'm starting with doing the sprint distance,
Mhm.
because there's like a relay event. Um, and that's like it's all really short. So like there's two people on a team, a man and a woman, and each person does 2 laps around this little circuit, but they do it twice. So it's like the woman goes, the man goes, the woman goes again, and the man goes again. And so each time around that circuit will be like probably like 8 to 10 minutes. So it's like, yeah, not that much time racing, like 16 to 20 minutes total for that event. So it's very like fast and sprint oriented.
That's cool. Do with the skimo, and with the the Nordic skiing, um, do you see the Nordic skiing as helping you in your overall fitness as you do your trail racing?
I mean, absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think one of the best things about Nordic, well, one, I think there's a reason why all of the people with the highest VO2 maxes ever recorded in the world are
Oh,
either
yes.
Nordic skiers or skimo racers.
Yeah.
Like those sports take so much because it's just like a full body aerobic challenge. So I think that's huge. Like it's just really good for building base without having like any impact at all.
Mm.
It kind of takes that element out of running. And then also, I think that the Nordic especially, it's like so balance dependent. And so it's like just working all those like little tiny balance muscles and everything that like it just makes your lower legs and like your hips and your core super, super strong, which I feel like even more for trail than for track, like is
Yeah.
really, really important to like staying healthy and to being like really agile when it comes time to like, sprint through the woods down some like super technical trail.
Yeah, I used to teach my athletes, a lot of stuff for pelvic girdle strength. The idea that the stronger you can build your hips and your leg muscles and your tendons. And I had them doing figure eights and all kinds of other things just because um, track is such a monotonous thing.
Mhm.
And if you can develop all the core, you're really going to be much more successful, I think. What shoes do you train in?
Whoa, I train in a lot of different shoes.
Okay.
Um, Obviously all Brooks.
Okay.
My favorite this summer has been the new Cascadia 19. Um, it's just been like the best all-around shoe. Like I think it's
Cool.
really good on technical trails. It's really good on, I mean, I run roads with it sometimes. Like so
Uh-huh.
if I'm ever doing anything that has like a mix of different surfaces, it's just like the go-to trainer for me. And then there's also a new shoe coming out in March called the Cascadia Elite. And that one has been like also a really big game changer for me. Like I used to do all my road workouts in like Brooks Marathon shoes, like the super shoes, and I now do them in the Cascadia Elite because it's like the
Cool.
shoe that I use in a lot.
Yeah.
But it also is like it has like a carbon horseshoe in it. So it's like it's the trail super shoe, but it has like the tackiest rubber on the bottom. It has like a
Oh,
Vibram
nice.
sole. So it's super grippy on trails. It has like, yeah, really fast foam, the carbon element, which is they're just like amazing. So I'd say it's like been a heavy rotation of like both of those shoes primarily.
When you race trail, what are you looking for in a trail racing shoe?
Um, It really depends. It depends on the course and
Mm.
like the type of terrain that we're in. So like for the uphill races, I wear the Catamount Agile, which is like a very lightweight, super sleek shoe that would like really hurt if you had to go run like a 10K on the roads. Like it's not designed for like that kind of repetitive impact, but it's super nimble. And so when you're on like a really technical trail or running uphill and you don't need any of that like protection from the impact and you more need like really good grip and something that's super light and like sleek. It's sort of more of like a racing flat, I guess. Like
Okay.
more of like
Okay.
a spike kind of idea,
Sure.
if you were to compare it to the track. So I'll race in those sometimes and then other times like Broken Arrow 23K, super smooth trails, and like you're sprinting down like service roads at a ski area for a couple of miles and it's super fast, like then I need more cushion and more support. So I'll race in something like the Cascadia Elite that has like a higher stack height and a lot more like cushiony foam. So it really depends. When I travel to an event, I bring like way too many pairs of shoes. It's overwhelming. Like I have to like have a massive bag, mostly because I'm bringing like five different shoe options that I could
Wow.
possibly choose from.
What's your next race coming up?
I actually just finished my season, so
Oh, great.
yeah, I just got back from being in Europe for a month, racing at the World Championships and then the Golden Trail World Series final. So yeah, just got to the end, and the next race that I'm doing is going to be for Skimo, down in Utah at the end of November.
Oh, cool. Well, Anna, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. You have survived 40 minutes with me, and I thought it's really, really been fun. A couple final questions. Um, if you were in a room of young women runners, what would you tell them about your love of the sport? Why do you love running?
I think for me, um, I didn't see this when I was just getting started, but now looking back on my career, I can see that like everything that I know as a person like has some connection to running and like my athletic life and journey. Like it has taught me how to like be confident in my own abilities. It's taught me how to advocate for myself. It's taught me how to work hard. It's taught me like how to take care of my body and like, that like health is the absolute most important number one thing in all of life that like I think we it's hard to see those things in the moment, and I wish I did when I was young. That like running was giving me all of these things, and I see that now that like this hasn't even all been about the performance or about, getting as fit and fast as I possibly can. It's more just been about like it's been an avenue, like a conduit to like learning all of these things that like help me in every other part of my life. Like they make me like a better family member. They make me better at school. They make me better at like if I'm not working another job right now, but I have worked a number of other things that like things that I learned from running like really made me better at doing my job. And I think, yeah, just like coming to appreciate that like it's giving you so, so much and to like yeah like learn all those lessons and kind of like try and carry those forward into other parts of your life.
Um, do you have a favorite musician that you listen to?
Whoa. I always have a hard time with this question. People are like, "What's your favorite running song?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I listen to a really like wide range of music. It's mostly like kind of bluegrass, like folk music, but I could
Cool.
not give you a particular artist.
Are there any books that you're reading right now or have recently read that inspired you?
Um, right now I'm reading The Emerald Mile, which is about the fastest trip ever recorded down the Grand Canyon. Because I'm actually
Oh,
going to
cool.
float the Grand Canyon soon. But
Cool.
um, I love reading books that are like about just like really cool nature experiences or like people who are just so passionate about like their thing.
Hmm.
And this book is just like, it follows the journey of these three guys who are kind of like explorers and they just decided that they were gonna like go down the Grand Canyon when it was like prohibited because the flow of the water was like so strong that like yeah, the government didn't want anybody putting on and they were like, no, like we're going. So yeah, I love reading books that like inspire me, not because they're about running, but because I can see like little trends of
Sure.
things that like also relate.
Well, Anna Gibson, thank you so much for your time today. This is Larry Eder. We're doing Brooks on Running. It's a collaboration between Brooks and RunBlogRun. We featured Anna Gibson, who is a bronze medalist in world trail running and has run track and field, has done cross country, track and field, and is looking at some new adventures coming up. Anna, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.